It feels like you're so repressed that you do what Miko does and you make these horrible decisions, right? And it's because it's just bubbling up inside of you. So I totally feel that. And I think it's a very, I hope it's a topic that a lot of Asian Americans may see themselves in.
Good to see everybody. Great to talk about this film. It is truly a beautiful movie from start to finish. Justin, I want to come to you first. Last we spoke was for Umbrella Academy, where we get to see an evil Ben, and now we get to see you play a different kind of evil Ben in a way. But with this film, I mean, it's with this movie, it's really important, or it's really, a fine line to walk of a misanthrope and making sure that the audience still wants to root for him. What is that like for you? Walking that line? Was a lot of it in the script? Was a lot of it in the direction? What was it like for you finding that line?
It was a sort of a confluence of all of those things. A lot of it I got from the source material, from Adrian's incredible graphic novel. A lot of it was through my conversations and collaboration with Randall. Yeah, and a lot of it was just my own sort of individual personal work before starting the film, and making sure that Ben was coming from a really honest, truthful place. I mean, the things that Ben says, they don't just come out of thin air. They come from a place where someone says things like that, and people who say things like that often experience things in their life. And that was a lot of the work that I did. I think at the end of the day, one of the main reasons that Ben is as critical as he is of things and people is because he's insecure and he has so many of his own fears, and he's reckoning with sort of this existential crisis in his life where he doesn't know what he's doing and what he should do with his life. And so those things sort of manifest themselves into the character that we see on screen.
It's a really fascinating journey to see him, try and grow even when he doesn't necessarily want to. And Ally, I'll come to you next. I mean, with Miko, I really love seeing her own evolution to finally getting to take back some of her agency in life. But even then, there are moments where some might feel that she's not being communicative enough with Ben. She even herself apologizes for it later in the film. What is that like for you? Similarly, finding that balance and ensuring that audiences can empathize and sympathize with her as the story goes on.
I already talked a lot with Randall about this because we were very much on the same page of Miko is so easily a character that the audience could turn on, and in the last kind of quarter of the movie. And we didn't want that, because with all the characters, you want to see the humanity in them, and you want to see and maybe understand why they're making these choices. And I deeply resonated with her. And I think you hit it right on the head. It is about her finding agency for herself. And I think that's something that she has, like, strong ideas. And like in the beginning, you see her putting together this entire festival, and she's so passionate about it. But I really don't think she understands how to have agency in her own decisions, right? Like, she's supporting her community, but is she really supporting herself in her own life? It doesn't seem that way. So I found it really beautiful, and something I could, obviously, is a very universal topic of, like, how do you find self-respect for yourself? How do you find your own voice? And she goes off to New York and she finds it in whatever way she does. And I love that it's not perfect, because we're not a model minority. And that's something that is hard, because when you feel like you have to be, and this is just me speaking as myself, it puts all this pressure on all of the time, to get it right. And then it feels like you're so repressed that you do what Miko does and you make these horrible decisions, right? And it's because it's just bubbling up inside of you. So I totally feel that. And I think it's a very, I hope it's a topic that a lot of Asian Americans may see themselves in.
Well, I really hope that people do take that opportunity to watch this film, whether it be Asian Americans or anyone else, because this feels like a very universally relatable story. Before I let you both go, I do want to ask as well, what is it like fostering a trust in one another to be able to have those upbeat scenes as well as those really deeply, dramatic and intense moments?
Ally and I, we lived, worked, spent all the time together while we were in New York. I mean, the chemistry was quite palpable immediately. She felt like a good friend from the moment I met her, someone I knew my entire life. When we weren't on set, we lived in the same building in New York, so we were grabbing meals together. We were working on our lines together alongside Sherry. It felt like a real big family. And that really fostered a sense of trust and safety with each other when we were shooting our scenes, and making sure that we both felt good about what we were doing, and that we felt comfortable, and that, we had the room to play.
Justin is just someone that you just instantly trust. Like you said, I felt like I've known him my entire life, which is crazy to think, but also I feel like we share this kind of also sort of dark, self-deprecating sense of humor. So in that, I think we were easily able to play a couple that has kind of been like, we've been together a long time, like, okay, and that kind of cutting humor, I think is what really helped us to bring that to the humor, but also the kind of emotional scenes too. Because a lot, in the fight, it's like, it's obviously very dramatic, but there's also some really funny cutting digs at each other too, which is fun.
I'm glad that you were able to build that bond with one another, and that you were able to help bring this to life along with Randall and everybody else. I can't praise this film enough, and I can't wait for people to see it. So thank you both so much for taking the time to chat. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Grant.
Thank you, Grant.
Absolutely. Have a good rest of your weeks.